Welcome to Tales of Honor, a podcast with a mission to tell the true stories of every recipient of our nation's highest military award, the Medal of Honor. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Tales of Honor podcast. I'm your host, Christoph Ambrosch, and this is episode number 608. For those who are new around here, this is the only podcast, as you heard in the intro, that has the mission to tell the stories of every single Medal of Honor recipient. And currently, we are plugging our way through all living Medal of Honor recipients right now. There are 65, and most of which I've covered, so I'm about halfway through, almost halfway through, and we're going to keep plugging along here until they're all taken care of, and then we'll get back to a different conflict. Most of them are going to be from the Vietnam War at this time. Let's see here. I don't have any birthdays to go over today, and no news or other updates, so let's get on with it. Today's Tale of Honor. Gary was born on the 29th of September, 1947, in South Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and he grew up with 5 sisters and 3 brothers. He enlisted into the U.S. Army in February of 1966, and going to basic training was his first time leaving home. While deployed to the Republic of Vietnam, Gary was assigned to an ordnance company, but he wanted to be a helicopter door gunner. So he re-enlisted for 3 years and got his choice of duty stations, giving him the opportunity he wanted. It was his actions on the 8th of January, 1968, about 10 days before being scheduled to go home, that would earn him the Medal of Honor. The citation reads, Specialist 4th Class Wetzel, 173rd Assault Helicopter Company, distinguished himself by conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty. Specialist 4th Class Wetzel was serving as a door gunner aboard a helicopter which was a part of an insertion force trapped in a landing zone by intense and deadly hostile fire. Specialist 4th Class Wetzel was going to the aid of his aircraft commander when he was blown into a rice paddy and critically wounded by 2 enemy rockets that exploded just inches from his location. Although bleeding profusely due to the loss of his left arm and severe wounds in his right arm, chest, and left leg, Specialist 4th Class Wetzel staggered back to his original position in his gunwale and took the enemy forces under fire. His machine gun was the only weapon placing effective fire on the enemy at that time. Through a resolve that overcame the shock and intolerable pain of his injuries, Specialist 4th Class Wetzel remained at his position until he had eliminated the automatic weapons emplacement that had been inflicting heavy casualties on the American troops and preventing them from moving against this strong enemy force. Refusing to attend to his own extensive wounds, he attempted to return to the aid of his aircraft commander, but passed out from loss of blood. Regaining consciousness, he persisted in his efforts to drag himself to the aid of his fellow crewmen. After an agonizing effort, he came to the side of the crew chief who was attempting to drag the wounded aircraft commander to the safety of the nearby dike. Unswerving in his devotion to his fellow man, Specialist 4th Class Wetzel assisted his crew chief even though he lost consciousness once again during this action. Specialist 4th Class Wetzel displayed extraordinary heroism in his efforts to aid his fellow crewmen. His gallant actions were in keeping with the highest traditions of the U.S. Army and reflect great credit upon himself and the armed forces of his country. Gary spent 6 months in a hospital in Japan before being discharged in June of 1968 and returning to the States. One day, while he was still at work, he was visited by an Army colonel, major, and first sergeant who, over a period of 10 days, convinced Gary that he was to go to Washington and receive the Medal of Honor from President Johnson. He received the medal on the 19th of November, 1968 in a ceremony at the White House along with 4 others. Gary has been active in the veteran community and is an active motorcycle rider. He was in an accident in 2016 on his way to Sturgis but recovered from the wreck. Gary Gregory Wetzel is 75 years old at the time of this recording, and he and his wife Kathy live in South Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And that was the Tale of Honor. Thank you for listening to Tales of Honor, and if you enjoyed the show, please be sure to subscribe and tell your friends and family. Tales of Honor is written and produced by Christoph Ambrosch, and theme music is Loyalty and Duty by Floruz Music. If you have any questions, you can send an email to talesofhonorpodcast@gmail.com, and please be sure to visit talesofhonorpodcast.com for more episodes and information.